important things to consider in the modern world as well, with a lot of the technology being developed, is that scientists often work, particularly if they're working in a specialised field, will work across multiple countries. There's a lot of work that's being done as well. Institutions like CERN, NASA, the World Health Organization, all these organizations that work in scientific areas often work across multiple countries. Biotech companies, a lot of major companies work across different areas. And so it's really important that a lot of these things have international codes. And in that way, there's not a huge difference between different areas. And one of the things that you need to do and consider is the effectiveness of these regulations. And so particularly when you talk about things where, like we've discussed before, CRISPR technology is moving so fast that governments can't keep up with the changes, and laws don't often keep up track with that there. And again, a lot of these things, particularly with things like CRISPR as well, there's ethical considerations. Who decides which genes to change? Who decides who gets those genes? And there's some specific examples where there are international codes. The first one here is cloning. And so one of the things there are in Australia, there is some cloning, but like most countries, human cloning has been banned. You look at some other countries, Argentina, it's banned. Canada, it's banned. Whole heap of places. Europe has banned human clonings. But other types of cloning, particularly therapeutic cloning and that, are still available. But it still has to be done under a tight regulatory framework so that people don't abuse it. Stem cell research is another area going on from cloning that's tightly regulated. And essentially that comes about because there was a lot of angst and ethical concern about using things like embryonic stem cells, things like aborted fetuses and things like that to get stem cells. And so the Therapeutic Goods Administration really looks over that and keeps a tight leash on it. And so you can do stem cell research, but you need to really go through a really tight risk assessment on that, and particularly to make sure that if there is stem cell treatments going on, that they're done in a very, very controlled environment. Another thing that is tightly regulated is the idea of surrogacy, where a person or a woman carries a baby to term for another couple. And it used to be quite common in other parts of the world, particularly in places like Asia, where unfortunately rich Western people would come in and offer someone, a chance to do this and offer it a lot of money. In Australia, the only type of surrogacy allowed is altruistic surrogacy. So where someone is carrying a baby to term for another couple without taking payment. And so it's not illegal in Australia, it's just very difficult to do. You have to find someone, and it's usually a close relative, to carry that baby to term. Again, genetically modified foods are a concern. And so in Australia, there are three main GM crops: cotton, canola, and safflower. And of course, these have to be grown in very, very controlled environments to ensure that there's no spread of these crops to one place to another. The interesting thing as well, you might find that a lot of your food, or some of your food, also contains genetically modified crops. And there's more research going on into it, but it has to go through, again, very tight regulatory frameworks to ensure that there's no ethical or health concerns going on. Another one is transportation of organs. Now, Australia has a really, I suppose interesting is the best word to describe it. A lot of people would criticise Australia's organ transplant laws for being a bit backwards. Essentially, in Australia, you have to opt in to donate your organs. And a lot of people have that on their driver's license. However, your family can override your concerns there. So Australia does have a problem where there's not a lot of organs available for donations. In most countries, or a lot of countries, particularly in Europe, it's automatically assumed your organs can be used to help other people. And it's only if you have strict concerns that you can actually override that. But again, all of these ones we've just talked about here, there's a lot of ethical concerns, and people may oppose these ideas based on their religious beliefs, maybe family beliefs, and that there as well. And so it's an area where science in all of these has to take into consideration the individual's rights and concerns.